Welcome everybody to the class this morning. We'll be doing a still life with fruit, and we hope that you're really going to enjoy it and see what you can do. I'd like to and have a look and see what's going to come up on the forum. It's something a bit different that we'll be doing, a little bit more of the, not quite detailed, but a bit more compact, etc. And I'll show you how I put this all together. As you can see, there was no photograph put in for the simple reason that I used about 4 photographs to combine the whole lot. So I think let's get started and have a look and see what we can do today. Get through into the PDF. Here, this is not really a still life. It was set up as such. It was just in South Africa and in Vicksburg in the Free State, they have every year they have a cherry festival, a massive get together and everything where people come from all over the country. And I was there the one season. I was caravanning just close by, and these are just some of the cherries that I put onto table on my caravan table, and took some photographs of it. And well, this must be something about 8 years back already. So here we have it. So remember, Nolan did some very, very nice well painting lessons doing with the cherries, and people have done very, very well with that one. Okay, sorry to disappoint you, but today we will not be doing the cherries. I decided on something else in the meantime. Okay, here's a photograph I took, must be about 25 years ago, with a very cheap digital cameras, and they were coming out in those days. I think there was only about 1 megapixel and 2 megapixels that they came out, and it was fantastic in those days. But anyway, this was taken at in our church. We had Harvest Festival. And I thought I'd just sort of put this one on to show you that when you put together a still life, very seldom are you going to have objects that are absolutely detached from one another. They got to form a unity. So if you can see from here that this gourd here is touching this container, and all these other ones, they're all nice and loose. And you can have the odd little one, like this pine cone across here, not touching any of the other. There's that little gap in between, but the shadow of it is coming along and touching the shadow of this one. So it does form a unity. You find, and when we're going to do it as well too, there's one little one that's off on its side that you can do. So let's have a look at the others. All these ones I'm showing you now are not really been posed as still lifes. This one is just a group of vegetables that was taken. You can see people sitting in the background. Don't ask me what it was all about at this particular stage. It was quite a long, long time ago. And you got some yogurt and all sorts of things in the background here. But there we have some nice, the grapes, and have a look. You've got the little highlights on the grape. The light obviously now is coming from the top left into this, and you can see light on the one side and shadow on the other, little highlight across the top, the shadow at the bottom, and all the shadows coming through into here. So there you've got deeper ones where you don't have any light on it at all, and this one here, like, is in deep shadow. Not very, it's deep as far as the color of the grapes are concerned. Let's have a look at the next one. Now this one was taken in my studio. We had a setup where in the class one day we did a very quick little still life. And here you got the glass, and when you got the glass you need to watch out for all the little nuances. It takes a little bit longer to paint the glass than what one realizes to get it to look like glass. And to do a whole still life like it with a glass like this one is not for a 1.5 hour sketch like we do. But anyway, yeah, you've got a pear and you have some bananas, and you can see the highlights and the markings on the bananas, etc., etc. So let's have a look at another one. Here's an interesting little one. This is taken at Nolan's house when we were in South Africa at one of the parties. I can't remember which one it was, some birthday party. And Mel made up one of these little tropical fruit punches, etc., with a nice little Japanese little umbrella in, and etc., that you can, with a spoon, that you could sort of eat out, make it like a dish. And from here you can see the nice little markings, and we'll be looking at some of that a little bit later on when we do our still life. Here's another one that was taken in our kitchen in South Africa. I don't know what the painting was doing in the background on the board there. Somewhere along the line I must have been shifting it through into the studio. But anyway, that one's there. And this here, I've got that same glass container, the flash with the all the leaves. You can see the leaves are, some of them are in different shapes. Some of them are very long, some of them are very short. And bananas again. I love my bananas. Lots of potassium. Right, let's have a look at the other one here. Right, this one was taken outside in our garden. You can see some fuchsias in the background, and capsicum cut through, lying down, a tomato, like a peach, and some lychees, etc. Again, yes, you can have a look. It's just like a setup, not really set up for painting, but anyway, it is a still life where you can see, although it's not physically touching, there's a shadow in between where all these form a nice unity. And all these are red, and then all of a sudden you have this browny, purpley color inside here. So let's let me just minimize this a little bit. There we go. This is a photograph I took now where I was at a guest house in South Africa when I went to visit my brother, and he got this little, on the table they had this nice little stand. It's old-fashioned style, so that's why they didn't paint it. It's all in as if old and rustic and etc. So you've got the rust on here. You've got some other leaves. I'm not sure what plant it is, but anyway, we have some apple and a lot of pomegranates inside here as well too. They make also very nice still lifes. You often see them in still lifes as well. So here's a nice one also to make a nice little arrangement for a still life. Right, let me just go there, do that. Right, this one is also in our kitchen set up there in South Africa. I took a pear and I've cropped this one because we could be using this one in our still life. This is the one that's being made up, and it's on the edge of the painting. So that stalk I've changed and made it to point out that way, so that it doesn't lead the eye out of the picture, because all the bulk is on this side here. You'll see how we change these things to keep your eye in the picture, because these are little things that that without thinking, push your eye out the painting, and you have to keep your eye into the painting so that the viewer it doesn't have a disturbing view of what he sees. Here is a pineapple that also I took a long time ago on top of a container, basically just to sort of get the idea of all these little seeds, as they were, on the side. And here you can see that this leaf has got very short leaves because there's different species of pineapples. And here in New Zealand, we very seldom see one of these. We see the type comes from the Philippines or somewhere out in that area there, where all the pineapples here they look grass green. If I was in South Africa, I would say that I wouldn't eat it because it looks too green to me. But yet here, other species is nice. And so some of these ones, when you paint them, you can either have them this color. In the green one, you can even change to this color as well to suit your painting. Have a look at all the little marks and protrusions and stuff on each one of these. We're not going to be painting these 100% in detail. We'll be just showing impression of them. And here's an orange on the side. And I want you to look very carefully at something here. Right. First of all, let's have a look here. You have the nice highlight on the top. And because of the little hollows inside on the skin, you can see that the highlights come in like little dots, as it were. So either that you can sort of, if you close your eyes and look through your eyelashes, as it were, you just see more of a yellow spot there and hardly any dots. But if you're doing it very highly detailed, you'll go into that. And then, of course, you've got on the shadow side, if you look very carefully, it's a slightly purplish tinge inside there. And also the highlight is yellow and orange, and that too. If you want to go up, put your highlight. Remember, if you lighten it, you've got to brighten it. So you add some white to it. In oils, you'll add some yellow to it. But here you've got the white of the paper, so you just have to add the yellow in there. That's all that you need to do in watercolors. So here, what I want to really point out is, if you have a look, especially if you, when you get the PDF and you blow this thing up, you'll have a look. This here is a warm color. But if you look inside, that shadow, maybe you can still see it on your screen, it's actually a blue. Very dark blue. So in other words, you've got a warm object, you're going to, in general, get a cold shadow. And just on the edging, you can see there's a bit of the warmth showing. And then if you've got something that's cold, you'll find a warm shadow. So let's have a look at our next one. Here, some grapes that have been dipped in water. You can see that by the shine and the glazy shine on the stems here that's been put into water. They've obviously washed this one, as I took this one off morgue file, and that's why you've got this very shiny on like a glaze because of the water. And it's just used a normal window. That's why you've got the highlight in this particular shape in there, and that's you find in the eyes as well too. You have this without a flash. You'll find that on the top, the highlight of the eye is also on the longish side. Then have a look at this one. This is cold, dark, but look at that shadow carefully. That's a warm shadow. That one. Can you see it's got a warm color? Look inside there. When you get the PDF and blow it up, you'll have a look. It's cold, but this is a warm shadow. So you need to take note of these things, so that when you're painting, that your shadows must correspond to the color of the object where you are. Right. Here's some grapes that straight off, they're still hanging on the vine, and they've not been washed at all, and they have this little, it's almost like a little powdery on the outside of this. So you paint your grapes to suit. And have a look here. You've got your main light coming over from the top, your shadow across here, but from the ground, look, there's, and also from the other leaves and that, there's this little bit of a reflected light coming in here. A little bit of reflected light. And I see those in the pencil drawings when they've been doing the berries. When they do this one there, they tend to leave a bit of a hard line in that side. So when you're doing the berries, those on the watercolors, on the pencil course, or anything that's round, smooth out those so that you have that even transition from your tonal range, from your dark, like here, from your darkest, it'll go evenly right through to your brightest on the other side. Now this is a tiny little tonal range. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Well, I got some coffee. Thank you very much. I need that with the talking. Okay, and this one here, you've got a portion of one of the photographs that I've used for our painting, and I've changed the bowl. Obviously, it's going to take much too much time to paint all this thing properly to make it look like glass. So I've changed that, and I've just cropped this little piece here to show you where you've got the bananas and the pineapple. This is the yellow pineapple, and there we have this one, where is our one that I've taken as our main thing. I took this one in my studio in South Africa. It's one of the pupils' paintings in the background here. Little pig holding the curtain away when I open up the thing, get fresh air into the studio. Okay, so that's about what we're going to do. So there we have the template that you've all got, and so I think it's about time now to start our painting. So let's have a little sip while I go over. Right, let's get this up here. There we go. And before we start, here, what I've done, I'll show you what I've done. I took a printout of the orange. I took a printout. There's a pear, must be underneath here as well too. Let's take this one out. There's the orange. There's the pear. That's the printout of the one. And what I did was, there's the back of this one. I printed that out, so I've got some more detail across this one. I just took the back of that one, and I just took my ballpoint pen and quickly just sketched in a plate. And if Nolan can sort of just zoom in here a little bit for me, you can see when I've done my planning, when I've taken the pen and sort of tried to do it, and I found that one is going to be a bit too high, so I brought it in a little bit and sketched over, put my little marks across that way where we can sort of work out where these the pips, as it were, eventually pips, and my shading, and very quickly there's my light planned out, where I put my light. Always plan where you got your light coming from so that you don't get mixed up. And I've got the orange, I've got the bananas, I've got the pear in that one to give it a nice little balance. And instead of the cherries, I've put those grapes inside here. And the technique for painting the cherries is exactly the same as what we'll be doing here in this. So just to show you how I planned it all together, and you can do exactly the same. Quite often you can do that in a computer, where you can put all those nice in your color but I often just use this quick little sketch, and then from there I put it to the side, and then I can do my painting from there. Okay, so let's put this here to the side, and we can then start. So I'm going to take that off. Obviously, there's, for those that are new, my little pencil mark, so I can transfer it onto the back. Take that one out, put it off, and first thing, as always, there's a little mark there, I don't know where that came from, but plan your whites. Okay, so to plan your whites with watercolors, you're going to have to use your masking fluid, and for Mia, who's on today, the oils, the first thing that you need in oils, you don't have to worry about this side, because your highlights will come very, very, very last. So that is the reason why it's going to be awkward if anyone wants to paint along in oils. But no problem painting the same picture later on in oils. So what I've done, I'm going to put on each one of these little, or some of them. Let me clean my brush. There's a bit of water on, and take some masking fluid. Can keep those whites, and some of these I'm going to put just to keep the little highlights, not the ones that are deep in the shadow. You can do the ones that I've got here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9 of them here where I've put the highlights in. You can put those in. Let's put another little one here. This one is also sort of catching the light from that side, catching in a little piece on that side there. Okay, they will be more sort of towards the top right end. Yeah, there's a little one on that one as well. So, okay, I think that's good enough from there. That's all I need as far as highlights are concerned on this particular painting. So let's clean, make sure my lid is clean. Put back onto the masking fluid, clean my brush, so take the masking fluid off so I can use it for painting again. And what we need to do now, of course, is now, as most of the time, especially in oils, I paint the background first and then front. But in watercolors, you can also paint this and come in backwards, but more awkward in oils. So I'm going to put a very light green in the background, and then I'm going to warm up this other little piece here. We're obviously sitting on a table, but I'm not going to give a definite line in between here unless we want to. Okay, let's put a definite line in there. And what I will do is, let's take a ruler. Can I just have that ruler there? Thank you. This is just not planned, but anyway, just to show you can change your mind. So let's put just about here. So I've got at least the bottom of this plate must still be on the table. So let's put that across there like that. And I'll draw a little line there, a little line here. And then what I'll do is I'll take some tape, masking tape, and keep it nice to the edge of the table. And I'll just put that across here on that line. And another one on this one here. Let's get it on there. There we go. So now let's mix for there. I'm going to take my big brush. Where's my big brush? It just disappeared. Pick up some water. Got a little touch of blue in it still. Doesn't matter. I'm going to make some green. It's going to have blue in it. So Hopefully that's enough. I don't make it too much because I'm going to wet the paper first. So I'm going to take some ultramarine blue. It's not going to be a very heavy, dark green. It's going to be sort of a nice, lightish background. In other words, it's not a negative painting, it's a positive painting where the background is light and the objects are nice and dark. So I'm going to take a little bit of cadmium yellow into that. And take some more. Let's give it a test. Yeah, okay, let's make it a little bit more yellow. Give it a nice yellowy green. Yeah, I think that looks alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a big brush now, and I'm going to basically wet up the top end, up into this area, through into there. Then I'm going to pick up some of the green and just run it in here. Actually, with green leaves, so it's going to be light, so let's just run that right across the leaves. So that's not a problem there. So do that. Right across the leaves. Down to the edges here. Pick up some more. And as usual, I've made more than I need as far as mixtures for this is concerned, but rather mix up a bit too much than too little. See, while that is still wet, I can still do that and start merging in. And you keep it nice and wet, the colors merge in nicely after a while, even though in the beginning it may look a bit on the streaky side. So let's bring that here. There is it. We touch that little piece here. A little bit of a dot there, so just going to touch that. Just tip it up. Very gently. And that'll just sort of half disappear there. Okay. So now we just get into here. You can go over that stem because it's going to be a bit on the darker side. Bring that around. Across. Got a nice bead and just keep it in that bead. Work it across, pick up that bead all the time. And you get that lovely, nice wash going through. So there's a reasonably even background. So I'm going to just soak up the thirsty brush. I've sort of touched that on the cloth and just along the bottom, along the edge. See how it sort of just drinks it into the brush. Careful. You sort of don't want to. Right, it'll sort of even itself out. Okay, there's that little mark on the other side. Let me just see if I can tip it up. There we are, that's gone. Right, I think now I can put I've got everything I've not left. Right, now we can put the hairdryer on. Go. Right, now we're going to do the bottom bit. And that I'm sort of have let's say it's like a wooden table, so we can have like a browny color. So I'm going to take some burnt sienna, just mix it on the side here. It's going to be a bit bright, and sort of, I don't want to make it that bright that it's going to clash with the painting itself. So I'm going to put a little bit of blue. It's darkened it up, but it hasn't got that brightness, as it were. And I'm going to also wet it, give it a bit of a lighter color. So I'm going to just come along. Oops, sorry. Before I do that, I need to take this off. There we go. Take it off carefully. Otherwise we have a white stripe where it's not supposed to be. Oops. Let me rather use the hairdryer there before I tear the paper. And if I do tear it, I can burnish it with the back of my nail. There we go. That softened the gum, makes it so much easier to pull off. Right, now we can end up with, oh yes, my brush. Right, now we can do wet the background. So let's wet this. I want a nice white plate, so let's keep it nice and clean. Go around into this area. Wet that all the way around. Right, I'm going to lift off most of this water, so it's nice and damp. So I'm just sort of lifting that off. So it's still nice and damp. Let's take some of this, and let's start on this side, and we put some in near the edge of the table. It's almost like a mahogany color. Be careful in that little point. Let's put some on the other side. You got it. Take a smaller brush and just tidy up that little point there so it goes nicely into the side, and I'm going to do the other side here as well. There we go. Let's pick up some more. Let's bring it in here. before that dries. Put some more on that side. Okay. I'm going to be coming in with some shadow later on with this on the side here. So let's try that. And now we've got a base, so now you can start seeing the plate sort of in negative, in negative painting now, as it is in a negative painting. It will end up a positive. Right, let's start blocking in some colors. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow and mix up some mix on the side. Let's put that aside there. And quite a lot of this has got a yellow background. So you're going to just go over that, and even that you've got that sort of like a sunlight color. Some of these will be dark, but it doesn't matter. Just go over them. Pick some here. Let's go over this. Actually, I can make it a little bit stronger, especially over here. I can make it a bit stronger. Over the orange. Over the bananas. This is all the underpainting. And the pear. So we can do that as well. So this is all the underpainting for this lot, except the grapes. We do that. I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to work the plate. Also a very, very light orange. It's a white plate, but the white plate does pick up some of the color around it. But before I do that, I just want to, in the corners here, some of the paint has gone over. I just want to sort of just smooth out those ends a little bit so the plate doesn't look like it's got chunks out of it. Just smooth that out lightly. Just going to lift that out. Just smooth it out a little bit. That looks better. Okay, some of it just sort of encroached there a bit. Right, let's dry that, and then a very, very, very light orange. So I've just put some water to the side here, and a little touch of orange into that. Very, very light. Whoops. I want it very, very light indeed. So put a bit more water with the brush. So let's put that in. It was just take that white of the paper away. We got this little piece in here. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but it's very, very light. Don't make it strong at all unless you want an orange plate, but then it's going to clash with all the rest. So while it's still wet and it is a little, perhaps you think it's a little bit on the too dark side, you can come along, clean the brush. For argument's sake, I've got a cloth on the side, but you can take a tissue and just clean that, and then just run your side of your brush over the top, and you'll soak up quite a bit of the color. Keep it in line with the flow of the plate. Okay, so let's put it dry in that. Now I'm going to mix up some green, and we're going to start painting the top of the. Let me just blow this underneath here, because this painting sort of curls up with the heat of the thing. There we go. When I blow at the back, it's not trying to sort of get the moisture away. It's actually to get the paper equalized as far as temperature is concerned. Otherwise, you have the hot expansion. Other one brings it back into line again. All right, I'm going to mix up. I've taken a bit of this green to the side, and I'm going to mix up a darker green, a bit more blue, a little bit more cadmium yellow. Into the side. Let's test that. All right, there's a nice green there. So have a look and see the light is coming from the top right. So some of these ones on the side here, I'm going to darken a bit on the side, a bit in, and then also in between these little ones, these ones that curl over are in the light. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put a little bit of a, sort of do that so I can see them and bring them out. You've got another little one that's coming across in here. Part of the leaf is the underside of this leaf out here. The other leaf, but the underside. I'm sort of picking out the shadows, the darker shadows at this stage. Some of these ones here are going to be a bit on the shadow side, so a little bit darker. And underneath this one is also going to be dark. You got some other little ones. Let me just pick them up here. All right, some here, and there's some in here. And I'm going to add. There's another one here. These are not the complete dark at this stage, but I'm sort of picking them out so that you can get the basic feel of the of the leaves. Separate them out. And I put another one in here. Now I'm going to make it much darker. Takes a bit more blue. And a little bit more, tiny touch of cadmium red into it. Not a lot. It mustn't go red, just to darken it up. So let's take a bit more red into there. There we go. So now I'm going to drop in, where that's wet, drop in some of the deeper shades where you've got that deep shadow coming in. Remember, we're getting the impression of these leaves here. We're not trying to paint them as photographically. So you've got those inside, a few of those. Just dot, they're still wet, so I just dot them in more towards the center. That's where your deepest shades are, or towards in the center of this. So little down the bottom of that one, just separate these, and let's darken that one up. I'm going to darken this one up here, way in the back, and you have some light, you have some that are completely in the shadow. Right, let's shadow this one up. Okay, let's try that. Now I'm going to put a little bit of sunshine into that, so I'm going to take a bit of cadmium yellow. Take a bit of cadmium yellow, and I'm going to paint that into the leaves. So I've got, and mix it in the edges of that. And then don't forget these, they've got serrations on these, so you're going to bring some of those serrations out. I'm just adding a little bit more sunshine onto these, or a bit more light onto here. If necessary, we can put a bit more dark into it in places and leave this brightness here as highlights. So let's put a bit in here. And just sort of blend those edges a bit together, so you don't have that highlight, that sharp line. In other words, like I mentioned earlier on about the cherries and the edge, I'm doing this with the tip of my brush, blending that in so you have that even tone going across. So those are sort of coming out. Put some more in here. And into this area, we'll come back to these ones and tidy them up a little bit later on. And I think while these are drying, instead of using the hairdryer, we can start coming on. Let's start painting the other part of the pineapple. So I'm going to take some orange, and I'm going to bring it in there. I don't want it too orange at this stage, so I'm going to bring some orange into here, into that. But not right across. Now I'm going to lift out some of that orange, but wet the brush sideways, lifting some of that out and toning it down. So now I can start toning down a little bit. In the shadow side, that's okay, we'll be going over that. I just want to tone this down. Again, it's the same thing. You have a rounding, there's no real sharp edge along there, so just sort of toning that down a little bit. Right. Do that. Then, all right, let's just do the orange at the same time. This time, put some down the bottom end. Careful with the top end. I put some in here. Notice I'm always working in the shape of the orange, or the roundness. Bring some into here. Don't forget the light's coming from the top end, coming down and hitting this area. So I'm doing that. And this is also part of the under painting. You see there's some of the yellow shining through the orange here. So now I'm going to take a damp brush. I'm going to wet this area. And then by wetting it first, across here very lightly, then when you touch it here, that bit blends into the yellow sides. That's where the sunshine is going to be. So let's do that. So see what's happening now. There's no sharp line. You've got that nice blending going into there. Right. While that is drying, let's go through to the bananas. Now I'm going to take some cadmium yellow strong out of the tube, and I'm going to start painting. So let's do that. Strong yellow. Careful that this doesn't go into there. And I'm going to do this strong yellow. We're going to be straight over all the bananas. This is the basic color of the banana. Around the sides, around the edges, into here. When you're painting, look for the underlying color of each of your objects and use that to put your basic color in and block that in. So there we have the basic color of the bananas. Now while that is still, it mustn't be too wet, otherwise it's going to close up. I'm going to take, dry my brush again on here, and then I'm going to lay it flat, and I'm going to stroke a piece in here like that and lift some of that out for the highlight. In line with the banana. Out there like that. Leave just in that piece there. Leave some dark on this side and that side. You're going to have the same on this one here. Let's take a bit out here so we start getting plotting the highlights. So while it is wet, otherwise you may have to wet the brush a little bit. Oops, there's a bit of orange. Wet the brush a little bit and then lift some out. So let's wet the brush on this one. Let's lift right here and then lift a little bit more out. So you haven't got the white of the paper, you've still got this yellowy shine, and you have a little bit on this one here. Just that little piece. So let's I don't want to dab here with the tissue, otherwise this is still wet. You're going to dab all this other color away. While we got the yellow, we got the pear, and you got the side of the pear here is down on this side here. So there we go. You can see there now in the screen, you got that coming down through into this area. Okay, I think while we got the pear, let's take some cadmium red. And let's put some cadmium red on the side here. I'm leaving a little gap here, tiny little gap, so that I'm not going to get this red going into the banana. And bring that into this area. Not right across yet. And then I'm going to put a bit down this side here. But a little bit lighter than on that side, because the light's coming from this side here. You may see it in the picture of the photograph of the pear, but then the light that one is coming from the opposite side. So here I'll make that a bit lighter. Down, I can actually make it a little bit darker, drop some little bit darker inside here where you got the shadow side. Then I'm going to take the wet brush, sort of make most of it off. And then I'm going to, gently touch the side and bring it in there like that. If I need to, pick up a bit more while that is wet. Drop some in here. Let's take a little bit more in here. If you want to get a nice smooth transition, wet first and then let the color blend into the wet. See, I'm going to wet that a bit here and stroke it along the side, and you get that blending coming in across the yellow a little bit there. Almost a bit too much water. So I'm going to soak a little bit up. Take a little bit more of the cadmium red, bring it in. So I've got that sharp on this side and soft on here. You've lost and found lines, the hard and the soft lines. So here, putting a nice soft line inside here. So let's bring that over. Don't worry about the stalk of the grapes. That is much darker. It'll go over. So we bring that in and blend that in without going too much into the yellow. So there we have that nice soft blending. And we come back to that later, so let that dry. And let's go back now to the pineapple. I'm going to take some stronger yellow. And while that is dry, right, let's rather, in case your hand goes over the top of this by mistake, I'm going to dry the painting. Now let me just focus out. So I want to show the curl of this paper. See how this paper is curled up through the heat across here. Maybe not quite so easy seen on the other side, but there's a curl inside here. Now, when I heat the other side, it evens out and straightens it for me. Now it's lying nice and flat. Right, get this brush. And now I'm going to take some strong cadmium yellow, and I'm going to paint in all these little blocks, as it were. Let's start painting them in. It's heavy out of the tube. With very little water. Almost straight pigment out into here. Careful, there's still two little leaves here that I forgot. There and there. Let's put them in quickly before we lose them. And that's these little ones here, the ones that curl over. I just want to plot them here at the moment. Is coming in here. Right, let's darken that up. they're in the shadow. So right, so while that's drying, I can carry on with these other blocks. So let's put them in here. Get them as strong yellow as you can. Lots of pigment, little water. Some places here we want to maybe just go outside the line a little bit there, so that we don't leave too much of a gap in between where these cones are. The lines are fairly tight, so get them in. Don't forget, we're doing a representation of a pineapple, not a photograph. It's a painting. We're doing it painterly, so that when anybody looks at it, they can see immediately it's a pineapple without having to worry about any details and stuff. If you want to do with a smaller brush, it's easier for you. By all means, use a smaller brush. I usually use the biggest brush I can for the occasion. It stops me from fiddling. Right, this sort of tidy up a little piece, few places. Right, so there the pineapple's starting to look like something. Then I'm going to take a little touch of some of the orange that I had onto the side, and I'm going to drop some of it into these ones here, so that you have that mixture of the yellow and the orange. If you look very carefully at the pineapple, all right, that one there is hasn't got the right lighting, but as I said, you have different species. We're going to beef it up a little bit to some of the ones that I know and I've seen. So here a little bit lighter orange. In other words, you're not quite as strong. The other, you got that nice little tinge inside. That other one was taken inside the house with not very nice lighting. It wasn't really meant to be photographed for a still life, just for my own information. Right, you can drop a bit more in here. It won't be so bright later on because we're going to be painting shadows over it, but I want this underlying color, and that gives you already the sun on the one side and the rounding on the other. Good. So let's put the hairdryer on that. It's not completely dry, but what we can do, let's go work a bit again on the bananas. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of a purple color. You put it on the side, mix it here. And some ultramarine blue and some alizarin crimson. So I want to get a nice mauvey violet color, more on the violet side. It looks like a nice little violet. Let's test it. Ooh, look at that lovely violet color there. So now I'm going to first drop some water in, get it a bit more on the, and take most of that off, and then I'm going to come in here and touch a bit on the shadow side. Remember, the light's coming from that side, and we're going to put some shadows into this corner. Yeah, put some in. And you've got some more down in this, separating that one down into there. You have some this side here. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting out the different bananas as they go. And this one here has got some nice dark color inside. And these bananas have little ridges, so some places you will have a bit of a sharp line, others won't. So also don't forget the lighting on the one that you see in the screen is not from the same side that what we're doing on ours. Right, so we can put a few little marks, as it were, very light at this stage. Bananas got all sorts of marks on them, and places where they've been bruised a bit. Let me take a little touch in there, touch it in. Little marks, gently touches these things, and a bit of a shadow there. I'm going to put a little bit of a lighter shadow on this side here for the rounding. If the light's coming from this side here, it still gets shading to the outside, to both sides, except this side here, the shadow's more around the other side, so the color that you'll have here will be on this side, and then it gets darker as it goes away. So you get a bit here, we put a little bit more of this lighter shading in here to start giving it some of the rounding. So then we get the other ones down here, soften that little edge a little bit. I have to soften this one while I'm thinking about it. Soften that edge as well. We'll beef up some of these colors a bit later on. At the moment we're sort of just planning them. Get down to the end here where it's the tip, where it comes off the bunch. You get some more shadow down here. Soften that shadow a bit, just wet that bit here, come back into it, soften that. Can be streaky, don't worry about it. If it's bananas, got all, as I say, it's got all these little marks on them. Just that little piece down there, that brings out the highlight as well. And then that I want you to notice something. If you have a look here, I've used the violet and I've used cadmium yellow. I did this purposely to show you that you can, by most of the time, using just your three primary colors, which we've used at the moment: red, blue, and yellow. Yellow, blue, and red. to get these colors that we've got here. The colors I've got here, I mix with get that violet color, but I could just as well have used yellow ochre, because if you take violet, add it into your cadmium yellow, you actually get your yellow ochre, because this is now the shadow color of cadmium yellow. So you could have used yellow ochre inside there, just for your color mixing. So let's take a little bit of yellow ochre and start putting some inside here, and you can see you get all your nice colors coming in, just touching them in. It's hardly made any difference to what is there at the moment. Right, I'll come back and add a few more little touches in. That highlights a little bit too highlight at the moment, so let's cool it down a little bit. I'm going to go back into using the violet just to show you. I'm going to come in and I'm going to gently close up a little, most of that area, but leaving that little portion there as the highlight. So in other words, I've got like a tonal range coming from light through to dark. And here I want to darken that up a little bit and leave just that little piece. And down here, just that little piece across there. So that there we're not quite as bright. It's actually even a bit too much bright, too bright. So there we go. Let's do that. Right, we'll come back and do that. Okay, let's take a bit of burnt sienna. Oh, I've got a piece here already. Put it on the side with some of that violet into it. And I want to make quite a strong dark brown. And I want to touch it into this corner here where the banana is actually been plucked off the bunch. Let that dry. We'll come back to that one. So we can go. All right, let's dry it quickly. What I did just now with the brush, it's curling up again. All right, it was too watery. So what I did was I just soaked up too much of the water. Next time I come into this one here, it will be virtually pigment with no water in it at all. So, all right, let's go back to the banana, and I'm going to thin this other color down with water, and got a little touch of yellow into it there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the shadow very lightly. It's not the banana. Did I say the banana? Sorry. I'm going bananas, as they say. Right. Add the shadow here into the pineapple. So you still got the underlying colors. In other words, what I'm doing is I'm working with glazes. Very lightly, hardly touching, just moving the color to bring that in. Right. And I'm going to put a very light glaze over here. Just to get rid of that complete white. Very light glaze. Right. Right, I'm going to take some orange or some of this other orange into this other brownie color that I had earlier on. I used here to mix up for the shadow for the banana, and I'm going to come in and start painting the gaps in between these little pips. Very lightly. So now I'm starting to bring out the effect of the pineapple. A little bit lighter in here because of the sunshine, or the light, this bright light that's coming from the top right. In between, let's get that in. Because the pips themselves are lighter than the other. A little bit darker down here in the shadow side. Still using that shadow color. Okay, so let's take a small brush. I'm going to go back into the leaf there quickly. And mix up some of this dark, very darker green. Green and the blue. That's a bit too much water. I need it very more stronger. Little touch into there. Or I'd rather take some cadmium yellow. I'm going to almost like a bluey green. I'll take a little touch of cadmium red into it to darken, get the shadow color of the green. Red is the opposite color of green, is a shadow color. So let's I'm using my wrong glasses here all the time. Right, that's better. Right, now let's go in. I want to really beef up pieces here. Right in the nice, lovely contrast. Lifting out some of these leaves. Nice ones here, right in the shadow. Right, let's put this one in the shadow, part of it in the shadow here, other in the sun. I'm going to take that and I'm going to bring out some of these serrations of the leaves. Those little serrations coming out. There's a turn in the leaf. There's one underneath here. Little serrations in the leaf. Shadow on that side. Lift that one out a bit. Let's add a bit of a shadow, a little bit here, right on that turn. Bit of a lighter shadow there, where it turns. And these here has also got that, it's going to lift that out a bit. Take some more yellow green into here. Some real nice dark right in this little corners. As you can see, I'm not trying to get too much detail into it. I'm just sort of giving the effect. Right, let's now, I will take some more of this blue into that mix, a bit more of the burnt sienna into it. So I've got like a dark brownish color. And we have now all these little pieces that go in on each of these little tips. So a bit too dark, so I'm going to water it down ever so slightly. There we go. And I'm just going to sort of give it a little indication without sort of trying to go too fancy. Just a little. Just touching them in. Not trying to make them like little spots. They're going to be, because they're actually little points, as they were, sticking out on the side. We'll come back a bit later on. See, they're just starting to look like it. Unfortunately, the camera angle is sort of distorting this a little bit, but I think what I can do, let's take a bit of this yellow and maybe bring some of this out here a bit. Put little touches of green into it. And take some of those others, and you have these little, here and there, you got the little spots on the side, sort of giving you that taking that jaggedness. Oops, look what I've done. Let's see if I can lift that out quickly. There you go. Tiny little mark. I wasn't watching what I was doing, and it's wet. So let's see, there's a little piece here. Right, let's take that, and then also you get little marks sticking out the side. Darken these up a little bit here. Right, we can still put a bit more shadow color there a bit later on. Okay. So let's go back to the bananas and add a few more little. My violet has disappeared, so let's mix up some more. Let's take it away. Mix up a bit more violet. ultramarine and some alizarin crimson. Let's check it. A bit too heavy, so let's put some more, water it down a little bit. Right, let's start. Right, I'm going to start darkening up. Let me take a bit of that darker color at this stage and start working down here on the real deep, the deep shadows. There's little marks on here and there. And this one here is quite deep shadow here. A bit deeper down here. Roughen up that edge and bring in some other little marks. You've got some little darker marks also on the edge because marks are going down on the around the edge, and you're going to just see some of it on the edges here as well. Let's bring a bit down here. Maybe a bit there. This looks like a little bit of overripe bananas, eh? If you find that the mark's a little bit too heavy, come back with a damp brush and just sort of go over them, and you can lift some of them out, as it were. Soften them down. Let's do that so we don't have them too overripe, otherwise you're going to have to use them just now for banana bread. Okay, so while that's drying, let's go through to finish the pear. I've got some of this violet color, and I'm going to take some of that and glaze it over the red for the shadow side. And then damp brush, just soften those edges. I'm going to take a little bit more of the cadmium red and just sort of touch it here on the side, right here on this edge a bit, to beef this corner up a bit. And then I'm going to use some of it for spotting in some of the colors, so let's take a bit of that here, and then I'm going to take the smaller brush. While that is wet, start dabbing a whole lot of small little dots into, very small, give you that effect, very tiny, don't go too, very carefully. You can see how I'm doing it here. Sort of half into the yellow, but not quite. To here, and some of this on the side. Give you that effect of the pear. Take a bit more stronger. A bit more stronger red out of the pen. Bring some of it in here, some of it in here. Let's make it a bit more strong along the edge. Down this end here. There we got the effect of the pear. Now I'm going to take a bit of the darker colour and I'm going to just add a bit of a hollow in here. There where the little stem comes out. And I'm going to take a bit of the cadmium red and sort of touch it a bit on the side. Take a bit of the green that I had and touch it in here. Not strong enough, so let's mix a bit. Not that, I want some yellow. Take a bit of yellow ochre into there. Of course, yellow ochre is a bit on the opaque side. And let's take that and let's put some bit of a greeny tinge in there. There we go. And just leave that little dark spot there, that's fine. Let's bring that little dark spot into there. Right into there. Then, if you have a look at the thing, there's a very light green tinge here as well. So I'm going to take some of that very, very light. Especially down the bottom end here, I'm going to give it a bit of a greeny tinge. Take a bit of that. Just down the bottom. And a little bit across to the side. But not up at the top. Just this little piece down here. Smooth off that end. Okay, so let's leave that, let that to dry. Let's go to the orange. Now I'm going to use some more of the orange color that I've been using, and let's go through to the orange. There we go. And that can actually even have a bit more of the yellow tinge in. So let's take a bit more cadmium yellow and add it in. Ooh, take a bit of the green. Okay, it's in the shadow side, so we'll fix that up. It shows you need to clean your brush properly. So let's take a bit more cadmium yellow in here and brighten up this here, the sunshine side. A bit more yellow. In here. Keep that wet. Take some more orange. Bring it in. Soften the edges as you go up. The brush damp. And I'm going to bring in a little touch of this violet color into the shadow area here. Drop that in, a bit too watery. we can have cauliflowers. So let's work that in there quickly. Let me dry that. All right. While that is drying, let's go into the grapes. So here I'm going to mix up some more of this violet color. So we're going to use that other darker color grapes. Nice color. Let's check that out. Yeah, that's lovely. Let's do that. Now I'm going to first put a very light color over. So I'm going to just go over the whole lot. Base color. The little one here all by himself that fell off. So there's the base color. So what I'm doing is all these ones here, I'm just sort of lifting up a little bit of the color on the top of these ones. We can do that a bit later as well too. So just as these highlights. Okay, let's dry that. Take a bit more of that. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick out all the shadow sides. So I'm going to put the shadow in here. This one's got a shadow here. I'll take this one here. Before it dries too much, I'm going to damp brush. I'm going to actually just wet this area a bit next to it and then bring some of that in without going through to the top. So what I'm doing is I'm busy plotting out. We darken them up as we go. Quickly getting the shapes of the grapes. Do the rest. I've got down here. I got this one down the bottom. Before we go too far again, just dampen next to it and then come in and that'll blend together in there. Dampen next to it. dampen in too much water. Right, soak it up quickly. Yes, dampen the side and just work that in. So you can see we're slowly building up the rounding of the grapes. Actually, while it's a bit wet, I can drop some other darker color right into the bottom. Let that merge a bit while it's still a bit on the damp side. That one there is fairly under the grape. Other grapes, let's soften the edges. Obviously, if you're going to be trying to do these absolutely realistic, you're going to have to take your time. We're here showing you the techniques, and if I was doing this in realistically, I'd take a much shorter time, a longer time to do these. But here, soften those out, going in. So right now, let's dry that quickly and pick up the real darks. Okay, let's make a bit with less water, quite dark with less water. Then I'm going to go right into these, right inside. There's the grapes that are inside here. Behind these ones that is a real deep shadow. Bits and pieces in between. Mix a little bit into there and darken up these shadows down the bottom. Just doing it roughly right at this stage, and then I'm going to come in and soften the colors. Right, now I'm going to very gently just take each one of those to smooth out all these little imperfections. or with a slightly damp brush. They were put in roughly, and now you can come back and very lightly you can come out and smooth all these up. Some places you got little reflections, back reflections coming through from the other. Just join that up ever so slightly in so that they form a unity. Little rounding, smooth out those edges. Right, let's dry them. Right, let's work on the orange quickly. Finish that off. That is nice and dry, so I'm going to come back with this violety colour now. Now I'm going to put my shadow colour in down the bottom end here. This at the top. Damp brush, wet it around the side very lightly, and then bring that in and gently work that in like that, so you have that smooth transition. Right, now we can start coming into the texture. So let's take a bit of this darker color and let's put this here where the stem comes. Work that in with the purple color down. You've got these little marks coming up. I'm working with it's more like with little dots, so it will come into the slightly wet area. Do it very lightly. You can come back and touch up, plot first. Yeah, you got little imperfections all over the place. Maybe a little bit of a darker color down the bottom, a few little imperfections, and you've also got the little dots. I'm going to take a little orange, and I'm going to start putting a few little touch them there in the wet, so you start getting the orange feel. You got the dots. You can always don't try and get them too regimented, as they're much more along the edge, because they round as they go round. They tend to look as if they clump together, but there's less as you come in here. And then if it's a bit too strong, you can come very lightly and sort of just gently touch, and you just get that. Can you see that in there? If you've taken too much, put some more down, because in the brightness you're going to lose some of the detail of the orange. Now I'm going to make a stronger violet, almost like a black, a little touch of raw burnt sienna into it. It gives me like a black, and then I'm going to darken up this little corner here. And there's a few little in the wet patches. This end here will be a bit darker than more because of the light coming through from the top right. And let's put a few little more spots down the bottom here. Not too much on the other. I think that sort of more or less gives you the idea of the orange at this stage. There's a little touch of green. So I'm going to take some cadmium yellow. Clean my brush and take some of this. Clean the dirty yellow that I've been using here. Clean that out, so I've got some more pure yellow. And it can be slightly greeny. Let's just add a little touch of that green with it. And let's put a little, make it a bit stronger. Add to the little touch of that. There you go. The green, and then I'm going to just touch it and lift some of that, soak some of it off, give me a little bit of that, gently working it, that I've got that like a yellowy green inside there. There we go, that gives me, just touch, take that out, there you go. Now we need some real, oh yes, let's put the hairdryer on. We're coming close to the end. And I'm going to take out the masking fluid from the grapes so we can fix the highlights up. Let's get that out. So we get that. Let me put this on the side. A little sip of coffee quickly. Then I'm going to take a little touch of blue. Fairly clean blue. So let me just try and get to the side. And I'm going to have my tissue in the hand and just touch that little touch of blue. And it's very, very light. I don't want a complete white paper. Just a little. Even a very light touch of violet in there as well can also work. Right, let's do a bit of a tidy up here. Some of that rounding. Let's put the stem in. And also some dark green. Let's take a bit of don't mind what my yellow looks like. I cleaned it up just now again. going to put some like that. Now I want some real dark violets. I'm going to take some bit darker. And I'm going to fill in this deep shadow here. And some deeper shadow down the bottom. Let's get a bit more. This is a bit too much on the blue side. Let's put a bit more red into it. Some crimson, and then I'm going to this time I'm going to water this down a bit now. I'm going to have some shadow in here. Remember, the light's coming from the top right, so I'll put some of that in. I've got some apple shadow, that's the orange shadow, that is shadow of the orange is coming out this end here. You got this mixing into there, light into the lighter side, and then into here. And I'm going to just add some water and let the outside of the shadow blend a bit in here. This one's going to go out here. These little shadows out here. And you got a bit of shadow across here. Dark underneath. And I almost waited a bit too long here, so let's see. We can get that out. The pineapple shadows are going to go across here, over and fade away towards the edge of the plate. Let me get that cauliflower away. And there's deeper shadow in this area. And the shadow fades away. This one here has got a bit more of a deeper shadow here. Let's darken these shadows up a bit. Now we also have this light ink and have a shadow underneath. So here we have the edge of the plate. I'm going a bit too high up there. Oops. Let's get that. Take that away. I'm just going to twist this a little bit, sorry, so that I can get this part of the plate. There's the underside of the plate is coming along here. And then disappearing up into this area. There's the underside of the plate, and then of course there's also a bit of a shadow caused by the plate. Bit of shadow here by the pineapple across the table, disappears out that end. You got some little marks on there. I don't know where that mark came from. Let's have a look. See anything else I need to do? One tiny little thing, and then I think we finished. Here's my little brush. Just a tiny bit of darker touch of burnt sienna, and a little touch of blue to there. Just that little piece there. I think that's it. Sometimes it burns my fingers. Let's get a pencil. Where is it? Here. And sign. I'm going to sign down here because just a weight across there. So let's put it here. And there we have the finished painting. Let's just do that. And we hope that you enjoyed the class today. There we have it. So let's get another specs on. Right. Let's turn around. There we have it. I hope you enjoyed that. Nice, pleasant one. You can frame this, do it up and hang it in your dining room or in your kitchen. Brighten up the place and make you feel a little bit on the hungry side. Okie doke. So there we are. So next week we're going to do some dragonflies and see how we're going to sort it together. I haven't got the composition set out yet, but we'll see what we can do and make it nice and interesting for you. So from my side and from Nolan's side, we hope that you'll have a very pleasant week and a good painting week. And Mia, I hope you've enjoyed today. Your first time you've been here for watching a live painting class. So from my side, God bless. Bye-bye.
Basket TV.